Alright, so sexual excess is contrary to the principles of Christian temperance. It is seen in side effects such as genital pain, headaches, and exhaustion. However, if you believe that you're having a side effect of sexual excess, I recommend that you make sure that sexual excess is the culprit, because otherwise it can cause all kinds of problems. For example, let's say you're feeling exhausted and you're blaming it on, that you're having too much sex with your spouse. You have to be careful with this, because the reality is if you never have sex ever in your life, you will still get exhausted from life. And so, we want to make sure that that sexual excess is actually the problem and it's not just life, because if we blame it on sexual excess and therefore, we need to have less sex with our spouse, that could actually defraud them and cause them emotional struggles and so forth, and it's not fair. So we want to be careful. Maybe the reason that you're exhausted or that you feel like sexual excess is the cause of your exhaustion is because you're always having sex in the evening when you're already tired from the day and worn out, and so your mind comes to associate sex with exhaustion, and so you can make this connection there and end up having unintentionally and even unknowingly defrauding your spouse on the grounds of sexual excess when you're really just tired because of life and you're working and so forth. So we want to be careful that we identify the true culprit of the symptom, and not just blame it on sexual excess just because we can and it's easy. Another thing that I want to mention is that it's contrary to the idea that God is love and God is merciful to claim that X amount of sex is too much for one spouse but not enough for another, because the conclusion of this is that, one spouse has to suffer. I don't believe that that is the case. If you feel like you're in this situation where, this is too much for me but it's not enough for him or so forth, I recommend that you sit down and reflect and analyze and think and be deeply honest with yourselves, because you don't want to come to the conclusion that somebody has to suffer. That's contrary to the principles of Christianity. So keep those things in mind. We want to make sure that we identify the culprit of our symptoms and not just blame sexual excess rapidly or immediately without thinking about it, because we can defraud our spouse this way and unnecessarily hurt them and cause them pain. And we want to make sure that we don't adopt the idea that somebody has to suffer just because that's not right. So thanks for watching. We'll see you again in the next presentation.